Hello and welcome to today's webinar on the pedagogical use of Office 365 within your learning management system. My name is Philip Duffield and I work with the international and higher education team here in Europe. Joining us on the call today are higher education and international customers from various countries around the world. So good afternoon and good morning to you all. We also have some listeners who are just interested in learning about Office 365 and digital teaching and strategies and learning platforms. So welcome to you all. Now, before we get started today, I do want to point out the question functionality in the GoToWebinar tool that we're using. Please feel free to type any questions you have there. I have received some feedback about what you'd like to see today, so thank you to those who sent me some information in the lead up to the webinar. But if we cover something and you have a question, please feel free, type in your question, and we have some dedicated time at the end of the webinar for questions. And in a worst case scenario, I'll email you afterwards. Okay, let's have a look at today's agenda for the session. Firstly, I'm going to introduce myself and then we'll get into the main presentation. I'll begin with a high-level overview of how a leading learning platform such as itslearning enhances the features available in Office 365. And after that, I'll look at some practical ways that teachers and students can use Office 365 features in their teaching and learning. I want to demonstrate some live use cases in the platform so that we can see how these tools can be used today and how you as an educator can enhance student achievements. After the presentation, we'll leave some time for questions from the audience, and I also want to follow up with some valuable links and resources that you will find interesting and that you can dig into after the webinar. Including the next webinar, which is a strategic look at itslearning's cloud integration strategy. Okay, so once again, my name is Philip Duffield and I work in the international and higher education team here at itslearning. Really what that means is I've got the best job in the company because I get to spend my days working with teachers and school leaders to improve education and student achievement within their organizations. Originally, I have teaching experience from Western Australia as a former high school teacher, but I've been in education and adult training and workplace training and curriculum design for over 9 years now. I'm approaching 5 years at itslearning, and I've been responsible for many international and higher education implementations around Europe and around the world, so I'm really familiar with how teachers and students use our platform, and I'm excited to share that with you today. Okay, so our next webinar is more about the strategy of cloud integrations with Microsoft Office 365 and G Suite for Education. But today I wanted to show you the ways in which itslearning, a leading European provider of learning platforms, integrates with Microsoft tools. And by the way, most of the things that you'll see today are also available in G Suite for Education. Today we are focusing on Microsoft, but we have a combined strategy of being the best integrated solution with Microsoft and G Suite tools. So we have plenty of other G Suite tools if that's the way your organization is heading. Now, these two boxes on the left, these are more of a technical nature, and today we're focusing on pedagogy, so we're not going to go into those too much, but in a nutshell, for those technical or CTO type people on the call, we offer a really nice single sign-on with Active Directory or Azure, and really what that means is that students and teachers have a really smooth transition between Office 365 and itslearning. And something that's really popular is integrating your Office 365 email into itslearning. Or into the learning platform, because students and teachers are logging into the learning platform every day, and we want to make sure that they don't miss those more formal communications that are often sent from administration via email. So placing that email right in the learning platform with single sign-on and a little number indicating the number of unread messages that you have, really great way to make sure that students are getting those emails. So where we're going to spend today's webinar are these two boxes on the right. And this is about how can teachers combine the advanced pedagogical tools found in a learning platform with the collaborative and production tools found in Office 365 or even G Suite for that matter. On a high level, itslearning is integrations with OneDrive and SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. And these allow files to easily be shared and utilized and uploaded and linked across the platforms. So no matter how teachers are working in SharePoints or Teams, whether it's across campuses or across time zones, you can easily use that content in the learning platform. We've also implemented Office Online, which means that these documents are much more usable within the learning platform. Users are using them in familiar Microsoft tools. You can collaborate and co-author documents. And finally, the functionality which we call Office Assignment or Template Assignments, which I'm really excited to show you. So this is where these two boxes on the right is the majority of the presentation today. Okay, so I always like to keep it pedagogical. I'm a former teacher. I know many of the registrants today are in the classroom or supporting teachers. So I want to focus on some of Diana Laurillard's work, and she says that teachers are like architects that are trying to create the design and structure and activities that allow students to learn. And her work that I find most inspiration from is when she challenges teachers as a part of the ABC curriculum design course to really think about what learning types they're asking of their students in the way that they structure the course, they provide material to students, they use digital and traditional tools. So she really challenges you to reflect on what are you actually asking students to do here and how are they learning given the design and the activities that you've placed for them. So I've used some of the images from the UCL or University College London Pedagogical digital education team blog here, and this link down the bottom, great way to find out more information. So if we take as an example acquisition, the learning type. Now traditionally what I see is teachers spend a lot of time in acquisition, which is where we're asking students to learn via watching a lecture or listening to a podcast or reading from books or consuming a PowerPoint. So really the point of this part of the presentation and what I want to do today is to link back to how these tools can be used to hit on the different types of learning and to further enhance students' learning by using more advanced types of learning. So I've put an example of production here on the right, and this is where we ask students to create content either individually or as groups. And some of the examples that you can see that would be supported by both Office 365 and itslearning would be creating e-portfolios, creating videos, demonstrating their achievements by modeling or building resources or slideshows. So those are some of the digital ways that these can be done, but there's also on the left some conventional methods. So her work really gives teachers a lot of ideas in how to use the different learning types and how to assess what you're doing today and to offer different learning types in the future. So I want to get into the live demo here in itslearning, and today we are going to demo from the perspective of a teacher, and Runa is a teacher in the pedagogical department, and he's logged into his language teaching course. This is the formal space where teaching and learning happens. And the first area that I want to show you combining Office 365 and the LMS is how teachers structure their courses and communicate themes and learning goals and activities to their students. Now, itslearning does this via the Plans tool. It's how we communicate the module outline, and currently we're looking at Module 1, where the teacher has connected the activities and the resources, and these are all connected to calendar events. So it's really easy for students to understand where they need to be, what materials that are relevant to these specific classes or modules, and really one of the best reasons why you want to combine a learning platform with Office 365 is because the superior way in which a learning platform allows you to communicate and build and scaffold learning. So Runa's going to go ahead and have a look at this course from a student's perspective. And when he sees the student's perspective, students get this nice big start button for each module or each topic that they're going to study. So firstly, we can see the unit outline and what's expected of them. We can also see the way that Runa has copied in his lecture material using Microsoft Video. So he's used Microsoft Video, he's uploaded a lecture, and then he's embedded it into this page here in itslearning. So according to the learning types model, this would be an acquisition type of learning. We're asking students to watch this video. But the way that a learning platform works is that you can add more context to this type of content. You can do interactive polls. You can ask reflective questions. You can ask students to review things in preparation for the next module. So this is just a light example of how you can take a acquisition learning type of watching and consuming a video and move that into a higher order thinking skill. As another demonstration of the integration of Office Online, some of the tools that I mentioned earlier, we want to make it super easy to use PowerPoint files, to use Word and Excel files. We want them used in the browser, and we want it to be fast. And a teacher can just download these, use them offline, view them in full screen, and really just quickly navigate through your Microsoft files. It's really annoying to have to download and upload. So here's an example of a Word file. You can see how quickly it loads for students. Excel files, these can all be worked on, displayed, collaborated on, co-authored, all using the connection that leading platforms such as itslearning have made with Microsoft tools. So again, just trying to show you how easy it is for students and teachers to use these tools in their learning platform. Now, to show you actually how Runa sets this up, via his Plans tool, like I said, this is where he structures his course and sets in time and lessons and resources. Runa can go ahead here and add a file from his computer. He can just drag it in there, or his connected Office 365 and Google services. So in this instance, Runa and his colleagues, they've been collaborating over Microsoft Teams. Runa's ready to use some of that material, so he's going to navigate to it on SharePoint, which is where Teams shares all of their files, and he's going to upload a copy of the file, make a copy of it and put it in itslearning, or create a live link to this file. Now, the live link is really cool because the teachers and the people who are working on this in Teams can continue to develop that file, and it's automatically synchronized into this learning plan. And as those updates are being made, it's automatically being added there. So really, really nice experience here. Easy to open it straight back into SharePoint, and really easy, and it suits Runa and his colleagues' workflows. Discussion forums, I would imagine that most of you are already using discussion forums. I showed how easy it was to embed content. If we look at Office 365, they've got a lot of really cool tools like video and Sway, for example, and Microsoft Word Online. Most of these tools have embed features which allow you to get a little snippet of code and to go back to something like a discussion forum or a test or an assignment and to put that code into the content and be able to, again, make more interactivity using your Microsoft content that you're building and collaborating on with your colleagues. So again, we're taking something that's acquisition, consuming a lecture, and we're putting it into a discussion forum, and we're asking the students to describe the best teacher you've ever had. And so really a way that you can build on some of the great content, and you saw how easy that was using the embed feature in Microsoft and itslearning. Okay, I want to show off these assignment templates that I mentioned earlier. So Rune is just going to go back to his Module 1, Teaching English Grammar, and he's building on an assignment or a submission space. Now, this is probably the most common and powerful use of a learning platform because you want to use a digital work collection tool which has your advanced functionality like group work, like peer assessment, like self-assessment, allowing students to create their own groups or you assigning students to work together. You're going to want to use things like plagiarism and advanced checking. So really these are the reasons why you want to use an advanced learning platform to collect digital work. But you also want to support that using Office 365 features. So one functionality that itslearning is really proud of is the way that we can use Office template assignments to give students an inquiry or learning through investigation type of work. And so Rune is going to go ahead here and he's going to use a practical reflection document, and he's going to ask itslearning to make a copy of this file for every student. So Rune has structured a reflective activity. He wants students to think about their recent teaching experience and to take advantage of both the digital assessment collection via itslearning, but also some of the collaborative or digital working tools via Office 365. So let's go ahead and log in as John. John's one of Rune's students, and when John logs in, he can see via his task list that he has a personal reflection assignment due on the 23rd of January. So he's going to go ahead and click on that. And when he opens up the assignment, he can see all of the tasks, the work that he has. He can see whether it's a group activity, whether it's checked with plagiarism, and how exactly it's worked. And he can go ahead and work entirely in Office Online here, input his responses, use this investigative inquiry-based activity that Rune has set up for all of the students. And as soon as he's finished, he's using Office Online. There's no saving. It's automatically synced. He just closes that once he's done. He can reopen it and continue later tonight, or he can submit that work once he's complete. So what I've shown you is how Rune has really efficiently distributed work to all of his students, asked them to work in a certain way using higher level thinking skills like inquiry and reflection and exploration, and how John can easily use the Microsoft tools to collect that work. If we click quickly back to Rune's perspective and we go to his overview page, we can see that students have submitted work. There's things for Rune to review. We look into the personal reflection. We can see that John submitted. And again, no downloading of files, no saving locally and re-uploading, but heaps of powerful features using both Microsoft functionality such as highlighting and commenting, but also adding personalized video and feedback right here, and really easy for Runa to add good feedback and to assess this work, and lots of potential here for formative assessment. So really nice functionality here that we're really proud of and hope that other customers are also enjoying. So I showed you quite a bit from the teacher's perspective, how easy it is to share content. I do want to show you something that is outside of the formalized educational spaces, which we call courses or rooms. But John, as a student and teachers, they also have these informal spaces where we allow students and teachers to create the initiative to establish groups. In this example, John has made a project space for people interested in social media. He's inviting people in, and we can see that he's got the same powerful functionality where he can allow everyone to collaborate and co-author documents directly within itslearning, and he can also easily bring in content that he's been working on in his teams or outside of itslearning. So really powerful ways which we can allow John to initiate collaboration, allow students to set this up themselves without teachers having to drive these processes, because we all want active learners where students are more engaged and are taking the initiative to utilize these higher order thinking skills. So that's it for some of the practical aspects of the presentation. I just want to review what I've shown you all. We've looked at connections with Microsoft Teams and SharePoint and shown you how this content can be embedded and used directly in itslearning. I've shown you the assignment templates and how well all of these Microsoft tools are displayed and collaborated on itslearning, and shown you how teachers and students can take the initiative and really utilize some of these higher order thinking skills. So I promised some times for question and answers, so I'm just going to have a look through here. I can see one question about OneNote. You didn't show OneNote today. Could I comment on that? Yes. OneNote is a feature that we know is being used in schools, and we are currently, our product team has committed in the 2020 roadmap to further research how OneNote can be integrated well and effectively into the online learning platform. So it's a good question, and it's a good reason to log into our next webinar, which features a bit higher level on the strategic view between itslearning and Office 365 and Microsoft Documents and Google Documents. Now, I also want to look at another question. What happens to the links if a teacher stops working at the institution? That is an issue. If a teacher has shared something in their personal OneDrive account, we may need to reactivate that to retrieve it out of the account if that account gets deactivated on the Office side. But with the advantages of SharePoint and Microsoft Teams, that's much less of an issue. Especially it's not an issue when you're copying content to itslearning, but if you are live linking content, then from a personal OneDrive account, then it can be an issue and you need to reactivate that Office account to retrieve some of that content. But much less an issue when teachers are working effectively in Teams or SharePoint. So thanks for that question. All right, so in the interest of time, we have a lot more resources that we want to share with you. If you are interested in what we've shown today about itslearning, we have a link here, more about what we offer. We have upcoming webinars. We're constantly running a webinar or two per month, and the best way to find out about our webinars is to use social media. So our LinkedIn and Twitter channels for higher education are the most active. Please follow us on these channels. You'll get blog posts and updates and nice content that can be useful in your own teaching or in your organization. And finally, the development roadmap is also publicly available. That link is of interest. But most importantly, I do also want to invite you all to our next webinar. Like I said, this is a higher level strategic from our head of product ownership, Lars Jakob. He's going to really get on a strategic level about the importance of combining a powerful learning platform with your cloud solutions, whether it's Office 365 or G Suite for education. So higher level, strategic, really important for educational leaders to register for this one. It's in about 2 weeks. We're doing the same, keeping these tight at 25 minutes, enough time for you to get a coffee before your next lesson or meeting. Okay, I don't see any more questions within the tool right now, but I'll have another look after the webinar. I'd like to thank you all for joining. We do record these webinars. We place them on our YouTube channel with all of these links. So yes, thank you for joining. Please sign up for our next webinar, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thanks again for joining.